The office smelled like old wood polish and quiet desperation. Martin Weatherford sat behind the large desk of Weatherford Markets, the supermarket empire he had built from scratch. Now, at 72, the numbers in front of him made his hands tremble. 3 months from collapse. 40 years of work, countless sleepless nights, all coming apart faster than he could stop it. The stack of papers on his desk wasn't just spreadsheets. It was judgment, and it carried 2 names that haunted him: Caleb and Isaiah Rhodes. They were the names listed as majority shareholders of Ashgrove Capital, the firm offering to rescue his flailing company with a $30 million investment. But those weren't just any investors. They were the twin boys he had left behind 28 years ago. Martin remembered it like a wound. He had stood in the doorway of his daughter, Celeste's tiny apartment, barely able to move. The car accident had killed Celeste and her husband, Marcus. Social workers had arrived soon after. The twins 3 years old were crying, their little brown faces slick with tears. They reached for him. He didn't move. Instead, he told himself it was better this way. He couldn't raise them. His grief, his prejudice, and his cowardice all fused into a story he could live with. Until now, a knock broke through his haze. "Mr. Weatherford," said his longtime assistant, Janice. "The Ashgrove Capital representatives are here." Martin straightened his tie. "Send them in." The door opened. 2 men walked in, tall and poised, dressed in nearly identical charcoal suits. One wore a navy tie, the other maroon. They had their father's broad shoulders, but their mother's intense, almond-shaped eyes. Celeste's eyes. Martin's throat tightened. The one with the navy tie stepped forward. "Mr. Weatherford, I'm Caleb Rhodes, CFO of Ashgrove Capital. This is my brother, Isaiah, our CEO." Martin stood to shake their hands. Their grip was firm, professional. "Thank you for meeting with." Isaiah nodded. "You've built something enduring here, Mr. Weatherford. An empire." There was something in his tone, a quiet challenge behind the compliment. They sat across from him. Caleb opened a sleek folder. "We're prepared to inject $30 million into Weatherford Markets. Enough to revamp your operations and bring your logistics into the 21st century. In exchange for," Martin asked, though he already knew. 51% equity, Isaiah replied. "And 2 seats on the board. You'd be majority shareholders." "Yes," Caleb said, "but you would remain CEO for at least 3 years. We aren't here to take your company. We're here to stabilize it." Isaiah leaned forward, voice calm. "We believe in what you've built. It just needs a family touch." Family. The word hit Martin like a slap. "Why Weatherford Markets?" he asked. "Surely there are more profitable investments." The brothers exchanged a glance. "We have a personal connection to grocery stores," Caleb said smoothly. "Our foster mother ran one in North Philly. We grew up stocking shelves." Foster mother. The words fell heavy. Isaiah added, "After we were abandoned, she took us in. Both of us. Together." The message was clear now. They knew. Martin swallowed hard. "I see. We'll give you a week to consider," Isaiah said, rising. As they walked toward the door, Isaiah turned back. "We've reserved a table at Quince for tomorrow evening. 7 o'clock. We'd love to discuss some family history." After they left, Martin dropped into his chair like the wind had been knocked out of him. 28 years of silence and guilt had finally caught up, and the reckoning had arrived in suits and polished shoes. Outside the office, the brothers walked to the elevator. "Did you see his face?" Caleb asked. "He knew us," Isaiah replied. "Of course he did. We look like Mom." As the elevator doors closed, Isaiah's professional mask dropped. Phase 1 complete. "He's terrified," Caleb said, "but we need to know why he did it, and what he's still hiding." They didn't know that Janice, Martin's assistant, had heard the whole exchange, and she had secrets of her own. She'd worked for Martin for almost 20 years. She had seen him at his best and worst, and she had once stumbled on a dusty file tucked deep in the archives letters from a woman named Evelyn Harris, the twins' foster mother. Letters addressed to Martin. Letters that had never been opened. After the twins left, Janice stepped into his office. "Are you all right, sir?" Martin looked up, eyes unfocused. Just thinking. They seem very invested, she said carefully. Too invested. He waved her off. Cancel the rest of my day. When Janice was gone, Martin opened the bottom drawer of his desk and pulled out a worn leather album. There they were. Celeste's graduation, her wedding to Marcus, the twins' first birthday, and then the photo Celeste holding the boys, her smile radiant, Marcus beside her. He had hated their marriage. Celeste had married a black man. Martin, born of a different generation, had said unspeakable things. For years, he hadn't spoken to her. Only the birth of the twins had softened his heart enough to creep back into her life. But he never accepted Marcus, never really accepted his own grandsons. And then the accident, and he'd made the worst decision of his life. That night, in a quiet hotel suite, Caleb and Isaiah talked late into the evening. The company's bleeding faster than we thought, Caleb said. Can we even save it? Caleb hesitated. I don't know. Do we want to? Isaiah stared out the window. We'll find out tomorrow. They remembered Evelyn, how she'd worked 12-hour days at her little store and still made time to help with homework. She taught them resilience, pride, love. She never married. She never took in more children. She gave everything to them. And when she died of cancer, they took her life insurance payout and built Ashgrove Capital. Now they controlled a portfolio worth over $300 million. And they were standing at the crossroads of vengeance and legacy. Revenge is good fuel, Evelyn used to say, but poor direction. This isn't revenge, Isaiah said quietly. It's a search for truth. The next day, Janice walked into Martin's office with a thick file. I found them. Martin blinked. Found what? The letters. From Evelyn Harris. 23 of them. She laid the folder on his desk. Your father intercepted them. Martin stared at her. My father. He was still running the company then. He didn't want you to change your mind. Martin opened the folder. His hand shook as he read. Letter after letter. Photos. Report cards. Evelyn's careful handwriting chronicling their lives. One letter stood out. George has pneumonia. He's asking for you. Please, even one visit. Martin had never known. His father had hidden everything. I failed them, he whispered. The brothers, meanwhile, found an envelope slipped under their hotel door. I know who you are. I know what really happened. Meet me. Riverside Park. West entrance. 5 p.m. At the park bench, they found an older woman feeding pigeons. You look just like Celeste, she said softly. I'm Lorraine Viserfort, Martin's sister, their great-aunt. She told them everything. About Walter Weatherford, the tyrant patriarch. How he threatened to disown Martin if he raised the boys. How he blackmailed social services. How he controlled the company and Martin with iron fists. She handed them another envelope copies of Evelyn's letters. He never knew, she said. Not really, but he still should have fought harder. Later that night, at Quince, Martin waited at a booth with the letters beside him. Then another ghost appeared, Vivian Cross, his father's old assistant. You need to cancel this dinner, she said. Why? Because your father did more than hide letters. He bribed child services. He ensured the twins would be labeled difficult to place. He made sure they'd suffer. She handed him proof. Martin felt sick. When the brothers arrived, Vivian told them everything. And for the first time, Martin didn't run from the truth. I failed you, he said. Not just once, but over and over. I let my father's hatred define me. The brothers were silent. Then Caleb asked, What do you want from us? Nothing, Martin said. Just to tell the truth. Whatever you do next, I'll accept. Before they could respond, Martin's phone rang. A fire. The distribution center was burning. When they arrived, smoke filled the sky. Police found a phone at the scene. Last message, job done. He'll have no choice but to sell. Arson, corporate sabotage. And the suspect? Dan Holloway, Jr., son of Walter's old friend. The same man who'd spotted the twins at breakfast and tipped off the others. He'd been trying to buy Weatherford Markets for years. Now, with the company weakened, he struck. But the brothers stood firm. We'll make our investment public, Isaiah said. Right now. And they did. At a press conference the next morning, they stood beside Martin. Ashgrove Capital was investing. The company would survive. The fire, they declared was an act of sabotage. Within days, police arrested Holloway Jr. And then, news broke. Olovai Sr. was found dead, a suicide. In his note, he confessed to conspiring with Walter Weatherford to keep the twins in foster care. The media stormed in. The Weatherford name was dragged through history. But the public rallied behind the brothers and, to a degree, behind Martin too. He had failed, but he had also chosen to come clean. Weeks later, the brothers invited Martin to meet them at a small park. Across the street was the old apartment where Celeste had lived. There, they gave him a photo album Evelyn had made. And they made him a proposal. "We'll still invest," Caleb said, "but the name will change. Weatherford Harris Markets. To honor Evelyn. And we'll start a foundation," Isaiah added, "in Mom and Dad's name. For foster youth." Martin wept. "Your mother would have been proud of you both." "Maybe it's time you told us about her," Caleb said. "The real her." And Martin did. Months later, they reopened the flagship store. A new sign hung above the entrance. Weatherford Harris Markets. Serving with dignity. Rebuilt on truth. Inside, a wall told Evelyn's story. Celeste's story. The whole story. Forgiveness hadn't come easily, but they had found something better. A future. Together.